Hello and welcome back to Twisted Locker, your definitive horror podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the most underrated sequels ever made, in our honest opinion, of course. Now, you'll probably agree with me, Jenks. This was a hard one. There is so many underrated sequels out
Yeah, it
there,
was.
and it was very hard to narrow it down to two. But the two that I came up with, I genuinely believe that they are criminally underrated and they don't get nowhere near enough love as they deserve.
Yep.
But Jenks, if you want to let us know your first pick.
Okay, my first pick, it might be controversial. It's not the best film ever, but it's Jeepers Creepers 2. Came out 2003. I think most of the dislike for this film comes because of the love of the first one. And most people prefer the first two-thirds of the first one, where it's just you don't know if it's a monster or not. He's throwing those bodies down the pipe. All that's some of the best horror ever. And when he becomes a monster, it kind of a lot of people go, "Oh, I preferred it when he was just some you didn't know, or he was just some crazy killer." I love a monster movie, but with the sequel to this, it's very low concept. These teens are stuck in a bus. They've just come back from like a football game, and he's picking them off one by one. It is so simple and so awesome. And what I love about it is that because he's established as a monster, there's no mystery anymore. The director, let's not talk about the director though. Fucking no
Yeah,
chance.
yeah, yeah.
You can Google him. I'm not going to mention his name even. But you can. It's just like, okay, this is a monster movie. Let's make a fucking good one. Uh, it's got one of the best opening scenes ever with the scarecrow scene. I fucking love it. The creeper looks amazing. You find a little bit more about it, but the lore of it. So you got every 23rd spring, every 3 years, for 23 days he gets to eat, and it's a silly old thing, but
No,
he's
I love
it's his
stuff like that.
yeah, it's his last day or last few hours, and I love it. Some of the kills are so inventive. The practical effects are fantastic. There's a scene where he has to take half his head off and has to regrow it. um it's just so awesome, I think it's underrated. I don't know whether it's because, like I said, the first one's so loved, or what people feel about the director. At the time, I didn't know much about the director. It was early noughties, so didn't have
Yeah.
Google like you do now. But I'm a big fan of this. The Creeper, played by Jonathan Breck, is awesome. He's just so good in this. He really hams it up. You got Ray Wise in it, from the guy from RoboCop and Reaper. And yeah, it's awesome. Don't watch number 3, and definitely don't watch number 4. What do you think of this one, Kurt?
Yeah, do you know what? I need to rewatch it because this came out when I was really young. Came out in
Yeah.
2003, I believe, Jenks. Jeepers
Yep.
Creepers 2. And I remember watching the first one and it killed me. And that whole mystery and that setup in the first one when they're being chased by you don't know what. And like you said, when you just get glimpses of him throwing bodies down these pits.
Yep.
The first movie was terrifying, and I was disappointed with the second one. Now, I love a monster movie, and if it was a solo monster movie, maybe I would have liked it more. But
Yep.
I was so intrigued with the first film that kind of went out of the window with the sequel. I guarantee
Yep.
you, if I rewatch it now, I love it because I haven't got those same feelings about movies anymore. But I'm that precious about them.
Yep.
But I'll have to give it a rewatch. It's definitely underrated. No one talks about Jeepers Creepers 2 enough.
Yeah, and and one more point before you move on. I just genuinely think the Creeper is one of the best monsters ever. He's up there with Freddy, Jason, Michael.
Just mismanaged.
And he's probably the last of the great new monsters.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah.
I love him. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's your pick again, Kurt?
There we are. My first pick, we're going with 2010's Predators. Now, I think this movie is disgustingly underrated. I remember it coming out, going to cinema to see it. It was the first Predator movie I seen in cinema.
Yeah,
And I absolutely loved it. And I still love it to this day. In fact, I love it even more now after 2018's The Predator
don't even mention
because
it.
you realize how awful that film is and how good this one is.
Yeah,
But the cast in this movie, right? You've got Adrian Brody, Lawrence Fishburne, Danny Trejo, Walton Goggins, who is now a megastar after Fallout.
yeah,
I know him from Hateful Eight. That's the first time I got a good glimpse of him. Mahershala Ali, which again is another mega star now,
He's got
and
2
Alice
Oscars.
Braga. I know, and he's in Predators, amazing, and it's got a fantastic setup and original. It takes us back to the jungle, but obviously there's a twist. They're on the game reserve planet, and basically the Predators grab all these different sorts of mercenaries from different parts of the world and just drop them on this planet just to hunt. Now that is a fantastic setup. Now,
Yeah,
if you wanted to be similar to the first one but do something different, I think it's the best way to do it. Why don't
yeah,
we chuck a group of mercenaries like the first movie in the jungle, but obviously you're on a different planet, and it just sets up that thing brilliantly as well. And I love the whole thing of like predators looking down on Earth and handpicking these people to
yeah,
hunt. It's got some great kills, fantastic action, and it feels big. Still to this day, I watched it a few weeks back. It still looks great. The characters aren't fleshed out too much, but you do have fun with them. And the only downside I've got with this film, right, and it's a massive downside, Adrian Brody is massively miscast in this movie.
yes.
Now, I don't know how the casting process went, and I don't know how they got to the point where they cast Adrian Brody as the action hero in this film, because previously and before Predators, he's never been penned as the next big action hero.
Mm,
Now, that's the biggest mistake with this one. We've replaced Arnold Schwarzenegger with Adrian Brody. And I can say that because there's a scene at the end where he covers himself in mud
yeah,
and distracts the predator. Now,
yeah,
how have we gone from that to that? Now,
yeah,
it's not a big enough disadvantage for me to not like the film, but it's something that bothers me when I watch it.
yeah.
But this film is disgustingly underrated.
Yeah, one thing I'd say, I think part of the hatred for this is because it came at a time when there was loads of good movies, and now that there's a lot of shit movies, you're kind of looking back and
Yeah,
thinking, yeah, some of these were pretty good. Like I've noticed that a lot lately. Like 'cause
definitely,
we're going through a terrible run of movies now, and I'm looking back thinking, yeah, I think we had it too good, and we were too sort of
definitely.
spoilt for choice. Yeah, good pick. Right, my last pick. This is dangerously underrated, and I think you'll agree with it. It's 2019's Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The
Yes.
Shining, made by the great Mike Flanagan, a modern horror icon, in my opinion. Like I said, it's a sequel to The Shining, and it is brilliant. It's about Danny as a grown up, played by Ewan McGregor, and he's been battling with alcohol because he's trying to block out all. He can see ghosts and he can hear voices, and he's trying to block it out with alcohol. But he starts hearing this little girl starts to communicate with him, and it's a very different story to The Shining. These sort of they're kind of like vampires. They feed off the shining of young people, and it gives them everlasting life. So they're like vampires feeding on their sort of they call it the steam. Okay, so I won't go too much into the details. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. But it's not like Shining. It's a very good different story.
Yeah.
I've read the
Yeah.
book and I've seen the film. Um, it must have been quite tough because when you read the book, so The Shining. Spoiler alert: in the book, Jack blows. Sorry, not Jack. The boiler explodes and it blows up the hotel. If you've seen the movie The Shining, the hotel is intact because there's a different ending. Okay. Now, so the book of this follows it's a sequel to the book where the hotel is gone, and the film is a sequel to the. Ugh, I'm confusing myself.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor Sleep sequel is a sequel to fucking hell,
Stanley Kubrick
Shining.
Shining. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the hotel is still intact, which makes
Yeah.
for a very good finale. It's not a spoiler. You can see the hotel in the trailer. Uh, it's very fan service. That's probably where the film goes a little bit downhill. It's a bit too fan service, but it's very frightening. You got the lady in the bath comes back, and she is even probably a little bit more terrifying
Yeah.
because there's a scene where the door to the hotel room is half open, and she's just gradually coming out of the darkness, and it is really frightening. Rebecca Ferguson is the villain. She is a very, very good villain in this. She's very beautiful, very
Good.
seductive. You are sorry?
Insanely good.
Yeah, she wears that really cool hat. It's a very good film, and I think the only reason why maybe people don't know much about it, I just don't think it was very marketed very well. and it just got lost in maybe superhero fatigue. So it came out 2019 when
Yeah, bad
Endgame
times.
came out. All these superhero films came out. I think if it came out now, might have done better. But yeah, I love that film. What do you think?
5 stars, Jenks. I absolutely love that film. It's one I go back to a lot. Mike Flanagan is an absolute master.
Yeah,
And when I heard he was directing the sequel to Shining, I couldn't wait. And he absolutely delivers. Now,
yeah,
I'll take all the nostalgia of him going back to the hotel at the end, and I absolutely eat it up. Soon as he steps foot in that hotel, and Henry Thomas's portrayal as Jack Torrance
yeah. It's
is
amazing.
insane, and some of the best makeup work I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Specifically when they're talking at the bar.
Yes.
Doctor Sleep is amazing. It's a bit long, and it's not a slog to get through, but it's a heavy watch. But yeah, absolute
Yeah.
5 stars, Doctor Sleep.
Just one thing. The boy who plays Danny in the first one, yeah, in the original film, there's no way he grows up to look like Ewan McGregor. Fuck right off.
No
Yeah.
chance.
Uh, yeah. What's your last pick again, boy?
There we are. So my top pick, we've got 1982's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. So I love this bloke, and I get the pleasure of meeting him at the end of the year for the love of horror. I can't
Yeah.
wait to chew his head off. I absolutely love this movie, and it's by far one of the most underrated of all time, simply because it has that Halloween stamp, right? And it doesn't have Michael Myers in it. Now, I think that is the only reason, right? People didn't like this movie when it came out. It's become a bit of a cult movie now. It's
Yeah,
quite
that's
big these
yeah,
days. But people hated it when it came out. And obviously, the plan was for every Halloween movie to be a different story. It was going to be an anthology series. And for some reason, John Carpenter decided to try and carry that on, even though they were forced to do Halloween 2, and people are now obsessed with Michael Myers. And then they do Halloween 3, Michael Myers isn't in it, and people riot.
yeah,
It should have just been called Season of the Witch. And I truly believe if this wasn't connected to Halloween by name, plus a few references in the film, this would have been a much bigger hit because I genuinely believe it's a fantastic horror film. Basic plot of the movie, there's this Halloween mask manufacturer called Silver Shamrock, and basically every kid wants one. But they've got this dark secret, something that they're trying to conjure up through these masks. I don't want to go into too much detail because it is an underrated film, and I guarantee you not a lot of people have seen it,
yeah,
but it's a proper Halloween piece, and it lives and breathes Halloween, and it's probably one of the best movies to watch on Halloween because, like I said, it's about this Halloween mask manufacturer. All the kids want one. You've got the pumpkin, the skull, and the witch, and you've got this small rural town, and it's got that great fog-like feel. And everyone in town is obsessed with these masks. Then you've got Tom Adkins, then who starts investigating this company because there's something off. And the whole ploy of it is every kid's going to be wearing these masks. Silver Shamrock play their special song, which is also a great little jig.
yeah.
Something's going to happen to the whole town, and it's up to Tom Atkins to take this company down.
I think what it is, I think when it came out, like you said earlier, people were confused. You got Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and then this. Like if this had been Halloween 2, people go, "Oh, I see. It's a different one all the time." So, I
Yeah,
think that it was just very confusing. Because I remember watching as a kid thinking, "Oh, where's Michael?" I didn't understand, and
yeah, yeah,
it wasn't
of
so
course.
much information out there when you're young. You just didn't know things, just putting on. Now you know everything because the internet. But
Yeah,
back
yeah, of
then, yeah,
course.
not so much. Yeah, good pick.
But yeah, this is one movie I wish would get more love. I know, like I said, it's become a cult movie, but it's an absolute must watch and a yearly Halloween watch.
Yeah, good man. Yeah.
There we are, guys. That's all we got time for. Catch you on the next one.
Cheers.